It's a nice change from talking about the trade war, talk about beverages and the drink of your choice, as Tom says. But do you feel like you could be right in the middle? You have to deal with Brexit, right? Which you're just telling me you have to stockpile. And actually a lot of your spirits could be taxed.
Well, we have stockpiled quite a bit in the UK, so we should be able to weather, 3 to 6 months, depending on the brand. The big question is what's going to happen with the trade wars in the US. I mean, we're waiting any day now to understand how high the tariffs are going to be. Clearly, these trade wars are slowing economic growth. I mean, investment decisions are being postponed. Consumption, I think, is slowing down. In our case, we're still growing. That's thanks to the strength of our brands. And we'll see how it goes. Now, if the tariffs are really high, then we might have to look at, delocalizing production, going elsewhere. And if they're acceptable, we'll pass on the pricing to consumers.
How difficult is it to delocalize production? If you were to, I don't know how much percentage of your Aperol is made here in Europe, but if you had to move it, or part of it, to the US, how long does that take?
It would take, depending on where we go, 3 to 6 months.
Oh, that's quite fast, actually.
Yeah.
Are you modeling now what that would look like?
Yes.
So you're prepared for any eventuality?
Absolutely.
How's the U.S. market going?
The U.S. market is good. I mean, if you look at the market, depending on the month, it's growing to low to mid-single digit. And within that, you've got some categories which are really strong. I mean, bourbon's still strong, Wild Turkey growing high single digit. You have tequila flying. I mean, our tequila is growing 35% month on month. Then you have rums, aged rums coming back. So there's quite a bit of excitement from a category standpoint. Plus, we have our own specialties. So Campari with the Negroni is going from strength to strength. And the US is responding really well to Aperol and the Aperol Spritz.
So is that all marketing? For example, so you have Grand Marnier. What do you do with that brand? Is it cocktails, or do you use it?
Grand Marnier is all about cocktails. It's all about the grand classics.
How much marketing? Again, is it word of mouth? How do you transform a brand like Campari that could have been a bit dusty, maybe?
Oh, it was very dusty 10 years ago. Yes, and we've done it bar by bar, barman by barman, and they're the influencers. Get them behind one exciting cocktail like the Negroni, create the Negroni week, and then everything takes care of itself.
How are people consuming differently? Do they drink more cocktails at home, or do they still go to bars?
Depending on the country. I mean, in the US, it's mostly still in bars. And you have two trends. On the one hand, you have these classic cocktails, which are high ABV. And then you've got newcomers, which are low or no ABV. Aperol Spritz is perfectly positioned in there. And I think down the road, a brand like Crodino could do quite nicely.
Crodino, which for our international audience is also non-alcoholic.
Non-alcoholic
right?
aperitif.
Is that the new trend, going on to beverages that actually, maybe could be alcoholic or taste a little bit like alcohol, but are
as I said, you have those two trends, depending on the moment, and what the consumer is up to.
But how's Asia doing?
Asia, actually, if you look at our aperitifs business, is growing very nicely, double digit. Overall, it's a market dominated by local brands and aged, if you're on brown spirits. But we're excited by the rise of mixology. I was in Asia last week, and I had some fantastic cocktails in China. And I visited Alibaba, and I was in Hangzhou, and I'm walking by a pedestrian street, and I look down and I see 5 bottles of Aperol, and I go in there, and they actually produced a perfect Aperol Spritz. So that's encouraging.
Do you see more consolidation in the industry? Again, you've bought a lot of brands. This is an industry that has been consolidating quite significantly. What will it be like in 2020?
2020, I don't know. I mean, that's around the corner. I think in 20 years' time, it will look different, that's for sure. It's still a very fragmented industry. I mean, there are a lot of businesses and brands in the hands of families or small independent companies, medium-sized. You've got your national champions in each market. So there's quite a bit to be done.
Is that a way, when you consolidate, is that a way of hedging against currency swings? Right.
Sure. We have a natural hedge, both from a production standpoint as well as from a consumption standpoint.
If you were to buy anything right now, what would it be?
I'll keep that for myself. I hope you don't mind.